had 2 good performances and you think, I'm 30 big tonight, I'll play how I like. But you won't play how you like, because if you play how you like, I'll stick with you to you. Because if I'm going to take abuse from a bunch of behind it, I'll take abuse by doing it my way. And that is conformity, not non-conformity. So you little I tell you to do something, and you big I tell you to do something, do it. And if you come back at me, we'll have a right sort out here. Alright? And you can pair up if you like, and you can pick someone else to help you, and you can bring your dinner. Because by the time I'm finished with you, you'll eat it. You see me in the morning.
How about that? And that, I always think, is extraordinary. That was at half-time.
14 beeps in 40 seconds.
I think, actually, that was the half-time he actually sacked a player and left, and John told him to get out. But we'll find out now, because he's one of someone I was obsessed with for a while. I'm glad to say that obsession has now become healthy. John Sitton's with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Morning, John.
Yeah, morning, chaps. How are we?
Yeah, not too bad. John, it's a joy to talk to you. That documentary, I still rate as being about the greatest piece of British television. There's a few things that come near it. Hilary Hook, Home from the Hill, and a couple of other documentaries. Did you regret doing that afterwards, or would you say it was an honest reflection?
It was an honest reflection, because what it was a reaction, basically, to no action.
Yeah.
Obviously it goes without saying, very much regret it, because I've been ostracised from the game ever since, and couldn't get a job for love nor money.
But it was sad, because it was you and, was it Chris Tate? Was it Chris Taylor?
Chris Turner.
Chris Turner, that's it, your co-manager. Because he did go on to get a little bit of work. And I felt that, all the way through, I just felt you had such passion for it. And it just wasn't around you, including your chairman, who, I mean, laughably, they actually had as the receptionist on the phones after a while, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it was, we're about to divulge all in a tell-all book. There was a lot going on behind the scenes, and I was probably taking the reins a little bit, taking the initiative a little bit, whereby I was juggling sort of 6 jobs within the club.
Yeah, but did it ever get to the stage at one point, you bounced a cheque, I remember, the club bounced a cheque to the coach company. So
exactly right.
So you couldn't take coaches to the game. But did you all actually have to sort out things? So you all had to do a sort of car share to get to games? Did it get to that?
I rang a few pals who basically were what you might call private businessmen. And they said to me, seeing as it's you, we forward a cheque. That was to get a coach to Stockport and an overnight stay so we could fulfil the fixture.
Because you played for them like 174 times. You actually played. I mean, you really were, an Orient man through and through. I know you had your time at Chelsea, Millwall, and Gillingham there, but you had a great attachment to the club, didn't you?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say. The only time I was ever out of the side was probably with a couple of bad injuries, like a ruptured Achilles. I was pretty consistent over 6 years as a player. Then I had 2 years in their academy, Centre of Excellence as it was called at the time. I had 10 months as a youth coach, and I got the shout. I was actually working on my youth team contract. I got the shout to take over the first team because it looked like we were going to go down. And in actual fact, the first year we pulled together and avoided relegation.
Yeah. I mean, who would you say, sort of looking back, if you could pick people who you really think, they could have been a bit more staunch, who do you feel has let you down a bit along the way? Because you seem to give 100%.
Listen, I was listening to earlier on he was talking to Andy Gray. If I made I made a few mistakes, but probably one of the biggest ones was, if I look back, I probably had just under 500 league and cup games in all 4 divisions, and I probably, I'm not talking myself up here, I'm being very forensic about this, I've probably got about 10 chases.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad average. You're talking one not very good game in every 40 odd. If I made a mistake, it was judging other players by my own standards, the way I approach training, the way I approach games, and
because you did warm up, didn't you, properly?
Well, you have to. You've got to get yourself sucked up because it's not as if I was getting 40, 50, 60 grand a week back then. I mean, a couple of clubs I was at, it was just akin to the book by the Green Bay Packers guy, when pride mattered. It was all about pride. They didn't want to get mugged off, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Why did you fall out with Jeff Hurst? What happened there when you were at Chelsea?
If I'm honest...
you always are, John. You always are. I don't think you need to say that. You strike me as an honest man. Go on.
Well... Oh, basically, the training regime was, and I'm not the only one to say it. I think Big Roy McDonough said it in his book as well. The training regime was a joke. I mean, I remember him laying on the grass, chewing a blade of grass, calling a reserve team manager over to get because he didn't know how to get the back foot, the condenser play once we played the ball forward.
Who Jeff Hurst didn't?
No, he was clueless.
Jeff Hurst?
Yeah, it was like being in prison. I'll be honest with you, I felt like Cool Hand Luke. You know what I mean? Where you do the same thing every day. And I'm shaking it, boss. You know what I mean? It was like a 7-mile run round Richmond Park, or it was 800 metres, 2 400 metres, 4 200 metres, 4 box to box, 4 sets of doggies, 7 8 aside. There was no. This is what I'm saying. Like the thing where you see me ranting and raving, that manifested itself because of the frustrations, you know, with the work you put in during the week. Like
I wouldn't have thought Jeff Hurst would be like. I can't imagine Jeff just lying back during training with a blade of grass out of his mouth. But I guess if you score 3 goals in a World Cup final, that's it, really.
Well, it comes to something when the players have to decide that training isn't serious enough.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But John's quite driven.
Yeah.
Did he make you eat a lot of eggs?
Like Cool Hand Luke.
Well, listen, I'm trying to come to terms with the things this morning. I'm trying to work out how it is a fee-paying public school boys interviewing me about football. You know what I mean? You're swimming with the bottom feeders now. This is true reflection, like the yuppies have taken over football now. Do you know what I mean? I can imagine Johnny years ago with his posh voice.
No, you can't. Well, I've had quite a varied life, really. I started off,
I know all about you. I'll go back as far as you remember all the shenanigans. Don't worry about that.
Well, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, Johnny, you can bring your dinner.
I can bring my dinner, but I've never pretended to be anything I'm not, John. I don't see myself particularly as some kind of bottom feeder. I think.
John, didn't you recommend
No, hang on a second, John.
Okay,
I think it's a bit way harsh saying this is the bottom of your career, being talked to by some sort of yuppie. I don't pretend to be anything I'm not.
You're not a yuppie.
No, but he's just sort of saying he thinks he's reached the sort of. I don't see that's the bottom of any barrel.
What, with me?
Yeah.
Nah, well, that's nice of you to say.
No, but I just don't. No, but you're talking about me and sorts of things. What's your problem?
Can I, Johnny? Let me.
No, seriously, get on and bring your dinner.
Hey, John,
bring your mate. I'll take a lot of you.
John, when you were a scout at Man City,
my problem is posh people taking over football. That's my problem.
John, when
that's another show. That's another show.
I know,
that's 3 hours where you wouldn't get a word in edgeways. Your interviewing technique's the same as Danny Kelly's.
All right,
you ask a question and then you give the answer.
Yeah, it's quite a good point. It's quite a good point. I think you shouldn't be too much.
You come from you're from the Danny Kelly School of Broadcasting.
It's Tony. He's one of my heroes. I mean, actually, you can insult sort of public school with football and things, but.
Frank Lampard was a public school boy.
Once you start to get into that,
John spotted him. John spotted him early on.
It's also where the game was invented. You know, the earliest form as it is now was like Uppingham football. There's a guy from Eton got together with a guy from Winchester. They met at the Freemasons' Arms and they divided association football. You can be as snobbish as you like, but it was a public school game.
We've got more in common than we think then. Because I used to be a Mason, and Masons invented it, and now you've got it all. You've claimed it all back. Now you've got the game back, and you charge people 90 quid for a ticket.
Well, I do. I'm not
you personally.
John, do you know how much he charges us to make us play with him?
Well, I'm now Russian.
Hey, can I just ask you about when you were a scout? Because you spotted a few good players early on, didn't you? When you were married.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Pat he got me a little job at Manchester City. I was going to games with him, then he broke off, and this was after he got the sack after about 14 months at the Orient Office. He took over from me, and he said we'd go to some games together. Long story sideways, he broke off and started doing a bit of scouting for Arsenal, and I took over Man City, and it was Jimmy Frizzell. Bless him, he was sending me to a few games, and I remember recommending quite a few players to him. Probably most, like the highest profile ones. I mean, when you look at the goal he got, I don't care what anybody else says, it was the goal of the tournament, Tim Cahill.
Yeah.
Where did you see him, John? Where was he playing when you spotted him?
There's another thing we agree on.
Where was he playing?
Yes.
He was playing at Millwall. And the other one was Frank Lampard. He was 17, and he got. I'll be fair, he got a bit of a chasing. I see Arsenal West Ham at Highbury, and I think Arsenal done them 3-0. He got a bit of a chasing, but I watched him over a period of time. And I remember saying, latter day, it's not just Harry, don't worry about that, who could see, and he was fighting all the battles for him when he was getting criticised for playing him, because he was his nephew. And I said, I ain't just worried, Harry Redknapp, don't worry about that. I said, this kid can play, you got to get him now. And Joe Royle came in, took over and said, everyone's got to go, new broom sweeps clean, and a couple of people tried to box me corner because I was still getting the games, and they said there's some good people in the system, and he said, no, we've got to start with a clean slate. So it was Cahill, Lampard, and I think the kid Arjun Dazoo, who had a few games for...
Do you know what he does now, John? He's a detective.
He's a copper.
Is he?
In Holland. We spoke to him.
Oh, yes, we spoke to him. He was a copper.
He was our guest last week, Johnny.
He was a copper. He was really good, John. He was really charming and really nice to me. I'll speak to you later. John Sitton, ladies and gentlemen, 12:29. John Sitton, the charm machine. He's off.
Well, he went in studs up with you.
I don't know why he suddenly did that. He returned, didn't he? I don't know, he suddenly turned into like class warrior.
I don't think James has ever been described as a public schoolboy before.
I don't know.
I'm not a public schoolboy.
I know you're not. That's why I'm saying it.
It was a very, very strange moment. But
did you have schools in South Africa?
There were schools.
There were schools.
The public went to them.
Well, it was a shame. I was really looking forward to talking to John Sitton. I think it's one
He's
of the biggest.
personal.
I think it's one of the. I have to say, I think it's one of the biggest disappointments of my interviewing career. I love that documentary. I always found it as a really intriguing character.
He called you a bottom.
He called me a bottom feeder, yeah, like a whelk.
Yeah, but that was weird.
I'm like a whelk or an eel.
Then when you asked him
cod.
about what he said about you, he thought you were saying it about him.
I don't know what went on. He suddenly really kicked off though, didn't he? I mean, I wonder if someone, now I'm looking back at the documentary and I just wonder if it was just total confusion. He called me a bottom feeder, yeah, like a whelk.
Yeah, but that was weird.
I'm like a whelk or an eel.
Then when you asked him
cod.
about what he said about you, he thought you were saying it about him.
I don't know what went on. He suddenly really kicked off though, didn't he? I mean, I wonder if someone, now I'm looking back at the documentary and I just wonder if it was just total confusion.
Can I just, before we got the Tour de France, can I just say,
yeah, go on.
Did you hear Lisa before, when she talked about the Tour de France, she said, if you don't like mountains... If you don't like mountains...
Sorry, I'm distracted. I'll just...
No, don't forget that. If you don't like mountains, what are you doing in the Tour de France?
Can I say, I think we really gave John a chance to speak. I think we gave John a real chance to speak there.
Yeah, he did.
Was I all over him? I know it can be all over. I felt that was fairly much. Let's analyse it now. What do you think happened there, James?
I'd just move on.
Go a proper pause.
Imagine it's a leaf falling off a tree into a river. Let the leaf carry your thought away.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's the effect he's had on me, Christ knows what he did at Charlton. I mean, I feel unreal. Not Charlton, Leyton Orient. I feel I'm on a real downer now. I was feeling like really quite cheery. He's made me feel like miserable, like sort of just jumping out of a window or something.
Yeah.
I suppose it's the depressing thing that's happened to me in my broadcasting career.
Should we ring Andy Gray again? Get Andy Gray back.
Call Andy back. He likes us. Well, John Simmons, depressing human I've ever.
Can you get Andy Gray, Dave Bennett, Gary Bennett, Dickie Orr, Gary Howard, Mickey Ginn, any of them back on to lift the spirits?
I'm just wondering why any of us bother at all with anything ever. Come another glass of milk. It's 12:31. We can talk now to, I think, Lisa, while I try and just recover from that.
Johnny.
Did you hear that? No, because you're watching the Tour de France. What's going on there?
Yeah, I was listening though. I have to say, sometimes you've got to roll with the punches.
Yes.
Yeah, but I didn't see that coming. The question intended was, why did you fall out with Jeff Hurst? I expected that one. Anyway, what's happening in the Tour de France?
Pick the scab off a sore wound there.
And you play for Barcelona.
I had a bit of an argument with John Sitton last week. He started getting,
Don't have a row with John Sitton.
He just started getting inverse snobbery. It was quite a weird situation. He's really turned on public school and turned on everything. It was just a bad situation. But he then started sort of taking credit for Frank Lampard somehow. Didn't he? Did he start talking about Frank Lampard?
I heard about this. I saw this on one of our forums.
What got me about this is, I don't say you can.
It was a real shame because we wanted to hear about his book.
We really did, yeah.
It was a real shame, yeah.
And also he's a bit of a hero of mine because the documentary about the O's. And it is the greatest sports documentary. Yeah. And it's about a man with such passion. He came on the show, honestly, he really turned on me, Bob.
Yeah, well, he's an odd fish.
I bet, does he get some scouting work?
I think they look after him with scouting.
Do they? Anyway, the point is, he was sort of claiming to have found Frank Lampard, in a way, or helped his career. And I was just wondering, perhaps Frank had Frank Lampard Senior. His dad not spotted a bit of talent? I don't know, but...
They're all related to the Redknapps.
Yes.
Do you think he needed... Do you think they were unaware of the man's talent until John Sitton...
That's my point.
It's not likely, yeah.
John Sitton might have come up to him somewhere, Frank or Harry. Your son, this boy, this nephew of yours, he's quite tasty.
Your son looks a bit tasty out there, Frank.
At West Ham?
Yeah, at West Ham schoolboys. Yeah, you're right, John. We might have a look at him.
We'd never thought about that as a career option, but now you mention it,
We never
John.
thought about it. He never showed any outstanding promise.
Because we've had him on the knowledge since he was 11. But it turns out you might be right.
I might have to take that Honda C70 back and get him some boots.
Put that clipboard away, son.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. Do you know, in the knowledge, once you start on the knowledge course, Bob, this is a fact.
Go
on. Once you start on the knowledge course, you've got less chance of finishing that course due to danger on the roads. They have less people turning out than people on U-boats during the war.